It goes into great detail about the information that Russia and Putin had on Hillary Clinton, which included possible criminal acts like secret meetings with multiple named U.S. religious organizations in which State Department officials offered, in exchange for supporting Secretary Clinton's campaign for the presidency, significant increases in financing from the State Department.
The moment Tulsi Gabbard set her sights on Hillary Clinton, it wasn't chaos, it was precision. Like a calm surgeon wheeling in for an operation, scalpel in hand, no wasted motion, no unnecessary drama. Hillary, who spent her career playing the role of history's most misunderstood villain, suddenly faced someone who could slice through political fog with a few words. And with Hillary, there's always plenty of fog to cut.
In fact, this report shows Putin held back from leaking compromising material on Hillary Clinton prior to the election, instead planning to release it after the election to weaken what Moscow viewed as an inevitable Clinton presidency. In the January 2017 intelligence community assessment that President Obama ordered, John Brennan, who was CIA director at the time, and the intelligence community intentionally suppressed intelligence that showed Putin was saving the most damaging material that he had in his possession about Hillary Clinton.
Tulsi doesn't need to exaggerate. Hillary roasts herself every time she tries to reinvent her legacy. Her career is one long advertisement for failing upward. From First Lady to Senator to Secretary of State to presidential candidate, every rung climbed left behind scandals, blunders, and baggage that would have ended any other politician. But not Hillary.
That essentially the documents that Russia claimed they had portrayed Hillary Clinton as having mental health challenges that would result in fits of laughter and fits of rage. It also pointed out some very specific physical health concerns that apparently leaders within the DNC were discussing amongst each other.
That's right. This wasn't invented intelligence like the Steele dossier. This was supposedly emails
and communication.
She treats political disgrace the way a cat treats knocking things off a counter, habitual, smug, and offended if you dare to notice. Tulsi flips that narrative on its head, exposing the truth. Hillary has been handed every opportunity and still managed to fumble them all, like a quarterback with buttered hands. Decades in politics, and her greatest achievement is proving name recognition alone can keep a career alive.
It goes into great detail about the information that Russia and Putin had on Hillary Clinton, which included possible criminal acts like secret meetings with multiple named U.S. religious organizations in which State Department officials offered, in exchange for supporting Secretary Clinton's campaign for the presidency, significant increases in financing from the State Department.
Then came the infamous 2016 election. Democrats had every advantage: money, media, Hollywood, and Hillary's endless Rolodex of elites. And still, she lost to Donald Trump, the man the press swore was unelectable. That wasn't just a loss, it was the Super Bowl of incompetence. Tulsi drives it home. Hillary didn't just trip at the finish line, she face-planted and then blamed the track.
To that November 2016 election. The fact is, the opposite is true. It was intentionally withheld and not released because they assumed that Hillary Clinton would win that election. And their plan, according to these documents that were found in an investigation the House Intelligence Committee conducted into the CIA's creation of this January 2017.
That defeat wasn't a fluke. It was the payoff for decades of arrogance and tone-deaf politics. Hillary treated the Rust Belt like a sightseeing stop, not a voting bloc. She brushed off working-class Americans while basking in celebrity fundraisers. She strutted as if the presidency was her birthright, and when voters disagreed, she labeled them deplorables.
They also had documents that showed the patronage of the State Department to State Department employees who would go and support Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign. There were high-level DNC emails that detailed evidence of Hillary's, quote, psycho-emotional problems, uncontrolled fits of anger, aggression, and cheerfulness, and that then Secretary Clinton was allegedly on a daily regimen of heavy.
Tulsi slices through that entitlement with ease. Then she points to Hillary's time as Secretary of State, a buffet of blunders. Benghazi wasn't just a word, it was a permanent stain. Americans died under her watch, and her response was a cocktail of excuses and smug deflection. For Tulsi, a veteran, that wasn't politics, it was personal. And then came the email scandal. Servers wiped, emails deleted, private systems hidden like a bad spy novel. Hillary turned nothing to hide into a national punchline.
Foreign policy has been a disaster for our country and the world. It's resulted in the deaths and injuries of so many of my brothers and sisters in uniform. It's devastated entire countries, millions of lives lost. Yet, despite this damage that you have done to our country and the world, you want to continue your failed policies, directly or indirectly through the Democratic nominee.
She acted as if security rules were optional, guidelines for others but not for her. Tulsi exposes it for what it was, arrogance disguised as convenience. The same arrogance that cost Hillary credibility, trust, and the presidency. Hillary branded herself as a champion of women, but Tulsi exposes the hypocrisy feminism used as a prop when it suited her ambitions. Behind the glass ceiling speeches stood a politician who practiced suppression when empowerment wasn't convenient. And always looming, Bill Clinton's baggage, scandals she could never escape.
I think that the Democratic Party leaders, people like Hillary Clinton, people who've been in charge for a very long time, foment this kind of culture of fear and like, hey, if you go against us, like, you're dead, 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 you're dead.
From the Lewinsky saga to the endless parade of accusations, Hillary's career has always been tethered to cleaning up or spinning her husband's messes. Her independence was always filtered through the Clinton brand, a brand built on survival, not service. Then comes her foreign policy record: Iraq, Libya, Syria. A trail of chaos. Tulsi, who has lived the cost of war, contrasts real sacrifice with Hillary's board game approach to intervention. Libya didn't just collapse after Gaddafi, it became a breeding ground for terror. And Hillary smirked on camera, proud of her handiwork.
It's time for you to acknowledge the damage that you've caused. And it is long past time for you to step down from your throne so that the Democratic Party can lead with a new foreign policy, which will actually be in the interest of and benefit to the American people and the world.
Joining us now with reaction, Congresswoman 2020. Congresswoman, first, thank you for serving your country. And
thank you, Sean.
Tulsi's sharpest strike is on Hillary's refusal to take responsibility. Every failure, every scandal, every defeat is someone else's fault. Russia, Comey, sexism, the media, the system. Everyone but Hillary. Tulsi spotlights this endless blame game, showing a politician convinced she's above accountability. Hillary isn't a symbol of progress, she's a monument to corruption, entitlement, and recycled failure.
What's Hillary Clinton like? You're probably the only person in this room who would know.
It wouldn't surprise you to know that she's not too fond of me.
She hates you like the devil hates holy water.
So, when I resigned as vice chair of the DNC in 2016, specifically so that I could campaign against Hillary Clinton in that Democratic primary.
Even Tulsi herself admitted, Hillary hates me like the devil hates holy water. That's why her takedown lands so hard. She doesn't yell, doesn't grandstand. She calmly stacks evidence until Hillary's carefully crafted image collapses under its own weight. Hillary wanted to be remembered as a trailblazer. Instead, Tulsi ensures she's remembered as the woman who had every advantage and still lost to Donald Trump.
That's exactly right.
What do you know about
If you
that?
remember when we go back and Hillary Clinton's emails were really making headlines in a lot of ways and for a lot of reasons.
Her missing emails.
Yes, exactly. And so when people look at the newly declassified Durham appendix, you'll see a number of quite shocking statements in there coming from people like then DNC chairwoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, talking about how and I'm paraphrasing here, but Hillary Clinton's emails were deleted just in time.
In the end, Tulsi doesn't just roast Hillary, she dismantles her mythology. Strip away the spin and reinventions, and what's left isn't a fearless feminist icon, but a politician defined by missteps. Tulsi shows that no amount of donors, media support, or excuses can sell what the people aren't buying. Each time Hillary resurfaces with books, documentaries, or hints of another run, she only proves Tulsi right. Her moment is gone, and her relevance is borrowed time.
I was at, I think it was the first debate, the first primary debate that they had, first or second, it was one of the early ones. And I was doing an interview with MSNBC outside the hall of the debate. I think it was in Miami. And I don't remember who the host was, but I could see them and hear them in my ear. And they said, Tulsi Gabbard, you're coming out and criticizing Hillary Clinton and her foreign policy record. Aren't you afraid of what she'll do to you? He asked me this on live television on MSNBC. And you're laughing. I laughed too. I was like, no, I am not afraid of what Hillary Clinton can.
Hillary's career had every tool: money, media, donors, networks, name recognition. Yet she used them only to preserve her own power, not move the nation forward. Tulsi hammers the contrast. Hillary embodies the political machine, while Tulsi represents lived experience and accountability. It's not just opposition, it's a generational divide. One clings to a broken system, the other demands reform. That's the final blow. Hillary Clinton stands as the monument of an establishment unwilling to change. Tulsi doesn't just knock her down, she leaves her as proof of everything America hates about politics.